Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing the top end on my Yamaha TTR90. So it's got really low compression. I'm not sure exactly how low, but it's under 100 PSI, and that's bad. So yeah, I already took off the air box, as you guys can see. So you're gonna have to take that off. Then you're going to want to take off the intake, little intake manifold right here. Alright, so now I gotta get all this stuff off. Alright, got the carb off. So now I can begin taking off the head. I want to take off cam timing cover. Alright, now I need to take off the gear. Alright, so got that off. As you guys can see, I had to take off the chain tensioner, or I had to loosen it anyway. You do not want this chain to fall down into here, so just screw this bolt on a little bit so that it's not gonna fall down into there. So now all that's left to do is take off the head. It's just these 4 bolts over here. Alright, so I forgot about that one extra bolt right there, but yeah, that was just an 8mm. And I totally forgot, gotta take the exhaust off as well, so. Alright guys, so I missed this little bolt in this little pocket here, so just gonna take this guy out and everything should come apart after this. There it is. Ah, there we go. Alright, so this slides off. It's the head. Ooh. It's a lot of carbon buildup in there. Holy crap. So now can just pull off the cylinder. There we go. Alrighty. So there's the cylinder. So, alright, there's the little circlip in there. Gotta get that little clip out of there somehow. Alright, there we go. So now you can get under there pop that guy out. Put my hand over it so it doesn't fly into my eye. There it is. Alright, so now I'll just push out this guy from the other side. So I need a socket. There she goes. Wrist pin actually is in good shape too. Should be good to go. Probably gonna reuse these old rings because I feel like they were sealing properly. Alright guys, so piston and rings didn't seem bad. Cylinder wall seemed really good. I think this is my problem. My valve looks all jacked up. I mean, come on, tell me that doesn't look bad. That looks terrible. So I guess it's time to do a valve rebuild. So first things first, gonna get these valve caps off, and since I got the vise here, might as well use it to take the valve caps off. Alright, it took some convincing, but she came off. Alright guys, so piston and rings are fine, so I'm gonna put those back in real quick. I'm gonna put the piston on the way it came out. This ding on it is from the exhaust valve, so I know that it goes on this way. Pop this thing on. Putting the piston on is a pain because you gotta line up the con rod with the wrist pin. It just kind of sucks. Aha, there it is. Real quick, just gonna wipe down the sides of the piston. Should have done this before I put it on, would have made it easier, but just want to make sure that there's no grime on here. So now that that's done, I can put the circlip back on here. Alright, finally got the wrist pin back in there. So now I can put the cylinder back on. Gotta clean this off. Anything that is on here can damage the motor, so you gotta make sure everything is spotless when you put it back in. So I'm gonna put tensioner back in. Alright. So now pop that back on. Make sure my chain's gonna come through. Alright, so now for the tricky part. Oh, very tricky. Usually I have a much harder time getting rings back in. Then again, I guess I'm used to big old 250 rings instead of these little guys, but alright. our glorious little piston here, top dead center. So yeah, now I just gotta fix the valves and I can put the rest back on there. Alright guys, so what I'm gonna do to take these valves out, normally you'd need a specialty tool for this, I think, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get my crank splitter and thread this stud on there. And I'm gonna tighten this bolt, and what that's gonna do is just gonna bring the stud out and also pull out the arm at the same time. So I'm just gonna cinch it down. Yeah, I can see in there it's starting to pull it out. You don't want to do this with an impact or a drill or anything. You want to do it nice and slow. Alright, so now it's not gonna go any farther here. So I'm just gonna unscrew this, and you can see I don't need to take it all the way out because my rocker already came out. There we go. Now would also be a good time to check your rockers out too. This one looks to be in good shape, which is good. So now I'm going to take off the other rocker. Alright, so got that out, and you do want to remember which valve is which. How they go in. So it's always good to take pictures or videos to know how they went in. Like I'm doing right now, I can look back on this footage and be like, oh yeah, it goes in that way. So this one is gonna be for my exhaust, and this one will be for my intake. So I'm just gonna separate the two. So now we come to the tricky part. Gotta compress the valve spring in order to get the valve out. So alright, so all you're gonna need is some vice grips. Alright, so clamp the vice grips on here. Not too hard though. You don't want to ruin anything. And just kind of press it down and wiggle it around to get these little shims out of here. Helps if you've got a magnet to kind of pull them out. Alright, got one of them out. Now the other one will come out much easier. Alright, there's the other little guy right there. So now, spring pops off along with the retainer. Then and the valve just pops out. Alrighty, so you can clearly see the problem here. Pretty bent. I'm gonna see how well I can fix it. See if I can maybe get it to the point where it's usable. It's gonna be kind of sketchy though. Oh, wow. That was actually surprisingly easy to bend back. Is that seriously all I needed? Not quite. I'm just gonna keep trying that, see if I can get it back to normal. Alright, so I bent the valve back. And I can't see any sort of lip where the air might escape from. So I'm gonna put the valve back together. I'm gonna see if the motor will run with that valve, because that'll save me 40 bucks. So worth a shot. Alright guys, so I finally got the valve spring back in. What I ended up doing was I got the first one into the slot just by pushing it down, just by compressing the spring with the vice grips, and then as the spring was compressed I pushed it in there with this. And then the second one, I got it in there, you know, down to the point where it wouldn't want to push in anymore by hand. And so I got this stud and I smacked it with the rubber mallet. It kind of half seated itself, and then I made sure that I wasn't going to hit the valve stem, and then I smacked it again and it popped right in. So yeah, it looks like it's good now. Alrighty, so now I'm going to put my rocker back in, or my rockers. Yeah, I'll just tap it in with the rubber mallet. Yeah, this is gonna take a while. Alrighty, so got the valves in there. Exhaust valve still looks like it's sealed. So I'm going to have to adjust the exhaust valve because I did adjust the valves on this thing. However, when I adjust the valves, the exhaust valve was jacked up still, which I didn't realize. So that needs to be readjusted, although the intake valve should be perfect because, well, I adjusted that right and I haven't touched it since. So all I gotta do is unscrew this little nut right there a little bit, get my feeler gauge. So exhaust valve should be 0.08 millimeters to 0.12 millimeters. So I always go in between that. So I'm gonna do 0.10. So let's just slide it under there, tighten up this middle part. And you want it to be so that you can like kind of move it around a little bit. But you want it to be semi-tight as well. Perfect, right there. So now I'm just gonna fasten up this bolt. When you're tightening this thing up, I forgot that you have to hold this centerpiece with a pair of pliers because otherwise when you tighten it up, it'll just tighten up the centerpiece again. So now I gotta readjust it. And there you go, one properly adjusted valve. So now my head is ready to go back onto the bike. Almost. So you wanna just make sure that you don't have any shavings, like seriously, nothing can be allowed into this engine. So yeah, now that the engine is nice and clean, you can put these caps back on. All right, all nice and tight. So now, just going to make sure there's nothing in here. Looks like we're good. So now it's time to put everything back together and hope that it runs. Alrighty, so got that on now. So now let's get this gear on there. Sure it's nice and clean. So when putting this gear on, they need to set cam timing, obviously. And I did show you guys how to do this in another video. Alrighty guys, let's get the head bolted back on. Got our good old washers here. So now I gotta look up torque spec for these things real quick. And there's this one that goes in this hole down here. So now let me look up the torque spec real quick. Alright, so I have them all hand tight right now. Torque spec for all of these is gonna be 11 pound-feet or 11 foot-pounds, whatever. So I'm just gonna do it, you know, on a star pattern, and yeah. Alright, sweet. So now for these two smaller bolts. Come on, man, get to 7. Uh-oh. Well, this is a problem. I'm just gonna see if it'll run without that bolt. I really hope it does. Yeah, I shouldn't have even torqued that down. I should have just made it till it was tight. And
there's the single notch.
gotta mark this mark up with this notch on the
Alright, that's just about perfect right there. Sweet, so now I can pop this bolt on. Make sure.
On.
Oh yes, it has compression. I think that might have just been my problem. So let's put the chain tensioner on there, chuck some gas in there, pop the exhaust back on, and see if she'll fire. So the thing didn't want to start. I think I just figured out why. When I was putting the valve springs in, I must have accidentally bent that. Alrighty, fixed it. Vice is such a lifesaver. So I'm gonna chuck this back in the bike real quick. And then we'll see if it starts. Alright, let's see if it starts. Let's go! Alright guys, so I did have it running. I forgot to set up the camera, but I did have it running, but then it bent the valve again. I mean, it's got no compression now. Oh my gosh, guys. This thing came loose. I think I might have forgotten to tighten it. Oh no. Oh, shoot. Oh no. Alrighty guys, so almost $100 later, got the new gear in, and thing and bike actually runs now, so. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.